Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the NFL Quick Talk Podcast. Now, if you haven't subscribed really quick, subscribe. It's easy. Doesn't cost you anything. It is for free. Hit the big red subscribe button down below. And you did see that title that says TJ Watt did get snubbed, but this is my official NFL honors reaction video. So, really quick, we're going to go through the rest of the NFL honors. I just didn't really have many reactions to the other ones, but we'll go through it for the fun of it. Anyway, and winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year award is Cam Hayward. He was nominated for this award 6 different times, so he was definitely worth it. Does a great work for the city of Pittsburgh. The NFL MVP, obviously, Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. He was 1 vote away from winning this award unanimously. I completely agree. There's not a good argument against him. NFL Comeback Player of the Year award went to Joe Flacco of the Cleveland Browns, I guess coming back from sitting on the couch. Another candidate for this that I would have considered would have been Baker Mayfield. I thought that he came back from a pretty low. I mean, we did have Geno Smith just last year win the award, and he came back from being pretty lousy, and that's what Baker Mayfield did. But I completely understand. Joe Flacco, Offensive Player of the Year, went to Christian McCaffrey. Very understandable, but I guess quarterbacks aren't offensive players. Just change the award to non-quarterbacks, Offensive Player of the Year, because that's what it is. And Coach of the Year went to Browns coach Kevin Stefanski. Can't really agree more. I mean, he did a great job with what he had. Maybe Shane Steichen, maybe DeMeco Ryans, but this was definitely a well-earned award. Now, Defensive Rookie of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year, just like the 2021 Jets with Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, went to 2 players on the same team. Defensive end Will Anderson and quarterback CJ Stroud for the Texans. And that about wraps it up. And let's dive right into this Defensive Player of the Year conversation that we're about to have. Now, before we start the analysis, this is not a Myles Garrett hate video. I see y'all in the comments, he hates the Browns, he hates Myles Garrett. But no, that's not the case at all. He has been a top 3 edge rusher every single year that he's been healthy. By the time this decade's over, he will be a top 3 edge rusher of the decade. And as long as he keeps going the way he's going. And he's certainly deserved a Defensive Player of the Year award for what he has done in his lifetime. He has been one of the best defensive players of the ball this era of football. All right, let's get right into it. Now, hopefully through my editing, you guys can see the graphic now. You can see in the all the stats in the green are first place or tied for first place. All the stats in the yellow are second place, that green first place. And then in the red is the number that is least among the 3, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, and Myles Garrett. Now, some of the main arguments that I've heard for Myles Garrett has been that, you turn on the film. You don't want to look at the stats with this guy. You turn on the film. He is the most dominant. But you cannot just do that. Stats are what matter. Results are what matter. You can say, the 49ers played great in that Super Bowl. They did. And they really should have won. No, they didn't. Maybe that's a bad example, but you guys know what I mean. Results matter. It doesn't matter how you played, as long as you played and you won. It doesn't matter how you won unless you've won. So, that being said, you can also still look at the film. I'm not just a box score guy. I love looking at the film as well, but you have to marry the two. And I think TJ Watt does that the best here. We're going to look at the stats first, then we're going to talk about the film. TJ Watt leads Myles Garrett. We're just going to put Micah Parsons to the side for a moment because this is TJ Watt versus Myles Garrett mostly. TJ Watt had 26 more tackles overall. You can't say Myles Garrett was not dominant in the stats box in any way, form, or fashion than TJ Watt was. TJ Watt showed that he was better against the run by having more tackles for loss. Albeit it was 2 more tackles for loss. You guys get what I mean, though. He had more tackles for loss, more solo tackles. The tackles and solo tackles were by a long shot, too. As you can see on the screen very clearly. And then the number one stat, pass rush win rate is great and all, but it doesn't matter unless you have sacks. And TJ Watt had 5 more sacks than Myles Garrett. If Myles Garrett had 1 or 2 less sacks, okay, we can forgive that, like how we can forgive tackles for loss, mostly. The only stat in which Myles Garrett is in the green for is the forced fumbles. And I give him his kudos for that. That was great. But again, TJ Watt does what an edge rusher does best and needs to do in order to succeed, which is sack the quarterback. He does that more, and he makes more splash plays. He takes the ball away. He has had 3 fumble recoveries, 1 interception, and he scored a touchdown off of another fumble caused by his teammate Alex Highsmith. Also 8 pass deflections. He goes back into coverage. And some of the more common arguments that I see for Myles Garrett here with the double team, we're moving on a little bit now over to some of the arguments and the film side of things. So putting away the stats for a moment is that, I'm not putting away the stats because stats are always important, that Myles Garrett, he gets the double teamed way more. Yes, that is true. But you only set a double team, not you only, most of the time you set a double team for a guy that you 100% know is going to rush the passer. And that's Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett rushes the passer every single play. That is a pass. Now, TJ Watt, some teams just said, why would you commit a double team to a guy that is going to drop back sometimes? Because TJ Watt does that, as evidenced by the interception versus the Rams that turned the tide of that game. So, I question whether, and also, what double team rate does not come into account for is chip blocks. Now, Myles Garrett does get chipped. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but TJ Watt gets chipped a lot of the time. It's not that he has a free rush. And by the way, both Myles Garrett and TJ Watt both have the same amount of free rush sacks, just saying. But it's not that TJ Watt just gets to go one-on-one every single play. No, he's getting chipped a fair amount of the time. As well as, and it's not like TJ Watt's not getting double teamed either. He's definitely getting double teamed, just not as much as Myles Garrett, who leads the league in double team rate. Actually, maybe that's Micah Parsons. I'll have to check on that. But Myles Garrett is near the top either way. So since TJ Watt is, in my opinion, more athletic than Myles Garrett, he can drop back. And he can play very effectively. This is a Defensive Player of the Year award, not an Edge Rusher Player of the Year award. This is a Defensive Player of the Year award. And TJ Watt does so much more than Myles Garrett. And we talk about the impact that these two players have had for their team. And I see online some of y'all defending Myles Garrett has said he is downright more critical to their team because obviously he's the number 1 player on the number 1 defense. First of all, that's not actually true. That's the Ravens defense. Y'all have about a top 5 defense. But that's another story for another day, another video. Be on the lookout for that as well. Top defenses in the league? Heck yeah, I'm doing it. But be that as it may, TJ Watt, the record, I don't have it pulled up right now, but the record for the Steelers without TJ Watt is they've only won 1 game in about 12 games. They're about 1-11, 1-12 without TJ Watt starting in their lineup. Without TJ Watt, the Steelers defense is a middle-of-the-pack defense. And that's the truth. Now, they will get better, obviously, over the offseason, and they will not be as injury decimated as they were. But historically, the Steelers defense has just been average at best. And the defense has helped out the offense so much that the offense doesn't get that help. TJ Watt is one of the most influential players on the defensive side of the ball that I've ever seen. And I don't think that's even debatable. And you look at the plays that he makes. He tackles quarterback. Well, it was Will Levis at that time for the Tennessee Titans with no helmet on. He gets his helmet ripped off his head by the offensive tackle, goes and makes the play. And here's what I noticed with watching TJ Watt's stuff. Even if he doesn't win initially, he will find a way. Even if he gets shoved to the ground, which he does. He's a smaller guy. He's not a big bruiser like Myles Garrett is. Myles Garrett can take on a double team and make it out of there alive. TJ Watt sometimes just gets overpowered by guys bigger than him. But you know what he does not do? Quit. He does not quit on the ball. He does not at all. And you see a fair amount of his sacks have been second or third chance opportunities. You know, quarterback holds the ball for a little bit longer. He gets up and makes the play. Even, let's say the quarterback, I've seen this multiple times, where the quarterback rolls out to his opposite side and he does not stop. He does not slow down. He increases his speed. And, if that quarterback holds onto the ball for a second or two longer, he makes that play because he's there. And sometimes he has made that play. So you look at the impact that TJ Watt has had on, without him, a middling defense. I would say that that's much greater than the impact of Myles Garrett on a top 5 defense. Now, and here's the kicker here is when they had Myles Garrett limited with his shoulder injury this year at the end of the season, they were still playing a great brand of football, that Browns defense. When Myles Garrett had 1 sack in 7 games, 1 sack in 2 months, basically. 1 sack in 2 months. When he went that way and had maybe, I don't know, I think it was about 9 or 10 tackles in those 7 games, they were still playing great ball. They were flying around. They were acting like a great defense out there. And what happens when the Steelers lose TJ Watt? They kind of collapse. Let's face it. All right. Thank you guys for listening all the way through. If you like the video, drop a comment down below. Love to see y'all's takes down there. And we will be having tons of off-season content coming out. Already tons of stuff in the works. Top 10 players at each position, and mock drafts and assessments of each team and what I got right and what I got wrong if you guys watched my preseason content from before. All right, I will see you guys in the next one.